You feel pretty good going into this game, given the performance last Saturday?
Well, I feel good about our team, yes. Hope we didn't use a terrific game up. I don't know how many of those you get where everything seems to go right, but you know, I do like the chemistry that we have right now. I like the focus. I like the feelings that we have. So from that standpoint, I do feel good. But I also have an awful lot of respect for our opponent. They great program, and I think it was just 2 years ago they were in the Final Four, right? 2 years ago. So
Right.
yeah, so we have a lot of respect for that.
Is it easy to pump the guys up for a game like this?
Oh, I don't think you really do.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think you can overdo a game like this. I think sometimes the games like Saturday, where maybe the team in our minds was better than maybe the name or whatever. I think those are the ones you have to be sure that your guys are ready to play. But you know, you play a game like this, it's hard to believe that they wouldn't be really excited and really focused and looking forward to it. So I don't think you have to that much on games like this.
Big picture is important simply because there's no tournament. I mean,
Yeah, you know, we've tried to turn the negative into a positive by trying to have a tremendous season, and we're off to a good start. An awful lot of games left, but a game like this, you know, certainly would help that cause. So I guess we're never in a do or die situation this year, but and maybe you never are really. You always have, but you know, is it important? Yes, very important. I know to every one of our guys.
And what's it been like for you as head coach? And has it been different for you in terms of structuring practice?
No.
Like that?
Someone was asking me that the other day, because you know I hadn't been a head coach in 3 years. You know, having come here, and I didn't know whether it would feel like I hadn't been a head coach for 3 years, or 100 years, or a minute and a half. And truthfully, it just seemed like it had been just last year. You know, it didn't feel any different. And Coach Brown and I had a long talk before he left, and he made it easier in the sense he said, just really try to do exactly what you did, you know, and don't try to figure out, you know, well, what would I be thinking and all that, which would be very difficult because I can't talk to him. So, you know, playing those mind games would be pretty frustrating. And so he made it easier and just, hey, do what you feel, you know, what you believe, and when he gets back, then we'll see where we are, and I'll catch him up to what's been going on, and we'll go from there.
Well, he's superstitious, so you think that maybe he'll just keep going and he'll lose?
I don't think he's that superstitious. I doubt it. I don't think he's that superstitious. But he is superstitious.
Does the name and stature of a team like Michigan eliminate or at least reduce the risk of an energy drop-off that you might have to be concerned about after a 54-point win? Yes,
for sure. And that's kind of what I was saying. It's human nature. We're all human, and they definitely know when there's a big game. And I think you know, I learned this a long time. Some of the coaches I've worked for, or actually even playing days, that my coach would sometimes downplay these kind of games because he didn't want you to be, you know, this isn't football where you want to just be sky high and flying around and diving around. You know, basketball, there's still some control and poise that has to go into playing well. Just being ridiculously motivated sometimes is above the level that you want, and so, you know, we want to be at that level. Coach Sutton used to call it the magic level. You know, if you're too low, you weren't ready to play, you didn't take it serious enough, you weren't motivated enough, not enough energy. And then sometimes you play a huge game and you were so, you know, excited and wound tight that you don't play your best. So when people have great games, they're in that magic level. So I believe in that. I've seen it over the years. So a game like this, you would hope you might have to do a little of this rather than do a lot of that.
Karis LeVert leads Michigan in points, assists, rebounds. As a 6'7" guard, what type of matchup problems does he present?
All the above. He's great. He's great. I mean, those numbers, but you watch him on film, and he's really unselfish. He's very unselfish, which is really disappointing because at least if he was selfish, maybe you could force him into some bad shots. But he's a real matchup problem. Their team is a matchup problem because they play basically 4 guards, but they're all, or most of them are really big, and they're a great shooting team. Their offensive efficiency, I think, is like 10th in the country. And another thing about them that's good for them, hard for everyone else, is I think they rank 336th in tempo, meaning they take a shot, takes them longer to take a shot than 335 schools in Division I. I think there's only 340, whatever. So they're about 5th from the bottom from being incredibly patient with a very talented offensive team, and that's smart. It's hard. It's hard to play great defense for extended periods of time, so they present a lot of problems.
What are the biggest differences you see between the team you played last year and the one you've seen on tape so far this year?
They're shooting it twice as good. They're much better than the team we saw last year, particularly from the offensive end. I mean, they've got a lot of guys. If you look at their numbers, you wonder, can these numbers stay the whole season? Some of these guys are shooting 60% from 3 and 50% from 3 and 48 from 3, and they're shooting lots of them. Almost half their shots are 3-point shots, and as I said, there's 4 guards. It's not just a couple guys. So to me, they're much improved over last year.
How do you like to have your team play some zone defense?
Pardon?
How much zone have you played
This year?
if you compare it to last year?
If you take out probably one game that I remember, Sam Houston, we got in foul trouble early and played a lot. But other than that, I don't think we've played very much zone. I don't think we've played very much zone. The only time is the foul trouble. And again, we've talked about it, this year the rules are different and there's a lot more fouling. And we also have a very short bench. One night we had, 6 or 7 scholarship players, and so even when we're full boat, we're still shorthanded. So we have to be very careful of our foul situations. So that keeps us on the cautious side and sometimes shifts us to zone. But I don't think we played one possession at Stanford. At TCU, we went to it with some foul trouble, but we haven't played very much. I can say this: we don't play any when everybody's, good to go, and we don't feel like we have to save people.
Along those lines, you said after the first couple of games that you and your staff and the players were still sort of figuring out what was going to be called fouls and what wasn't. How comfortable are you now in having a feel for what's a foul this year, what was a foul last year, and the changes in the calls?
I think the guys, I think they would say this. I think they would all say they're getting a pretty darn good feel for it. I think it has taught players across the country to be a little more mindful, a little more disciplined in the things they do. But at the same time, I've got to say from my perspective that it's not quite as tight as it was week 1, for sure. It's getting a little bit more loose, like, of course it will. Human nature's taking over there, but I think our guys are adjusting. I think a lot of people in the country are adjusting because looking at box scores lately, not like the first week where, games were 60 free throws or so, and I'm not seeing that nearly as much. So I think everyone's probably adjusting. I think the officials are probably letting a few things go. They were like, now we kind of have control of this, and everyone is tilted more towards, I think, the way the rules are intended this year.